Hello. In today's lecture, we're going to talk about working in a team environment. Therefore, we'll be looking into what a team is and what is teamwork. And before that, we'll be having these learning objectives for today's lesson. We have first describe and identify team role and responsibility in a team. And the second one is to describe work as a team member. So first off, what is a team? According to Kolosky in 2006, a team can be defined as two or more individuals who socially interact face to face or more nowadays it would be increasingly virtually, possess one or more common goals, are brought together to perform organizationally relevant tasks and exhibit interdependencies with respect to workflow, goals, and outcomes. Therefore, if you belong to a team, you are expected to work with other people, you interact with other people for you to reach a common goal. And of course, when we talk about team, it's also important for us to know what is teamwork. So, after working with a team, your collaborative effort or your cooperative effort is called now teamwork. So, the first thing under this is clarify roles. Jane Goodall said, Each one of us matters, has a role to play, and makes a difference. Each of us must take responsibility of our own lives and, above all, show respect and love for living things around us, especially each other." So, Jane was saying something here like each of us matters because we play a role in the society that we are in. So if you are in a team, whether your task is big or your task is small, it matters because your team cannot be complete without the small and the big tasks. So ideas for clarifying roles on the team include the first one is review team members' roles frequently. It's very important that we try to see or we go back to our roles frequently because sometimes at a certain point in working there would be times when we try to embrace other people's roles or go beyond our roles or not play our roles properly. Therefore, we have to check and review our team members' roles frequently. Next is to relate team expectations to the team's overall purpose. Well, perhaps along the way, we have our own goals or our own purpose. And so we have to go back to what is the purpose of the team? What is the goal of the team? And we have to realign ourselves and our goals to such. Next is clarify responsibilities when action planning. Also, clarification of responsibilities is very important so that during the working process, we would not be able to say, um, no, I did not do this because I didn't know it was my role. Next one is learn what others do on the team. Each of us have to learn what each others do so that we would be able to appreciate each other and we'd be able to work together properly. And the last one is to figure out ways to help each other. Of course, when you learn what others do, then you are able to figure out how you would be able to help that person. For example, you belong to a team wherein you're the boss, and then there is a janitor or the utility personnel in that team. So the utility personnel is also very important, but as the boss, you also have the task to help out the utility personnel, and that would be the kaigo practice, like you clean as you go. So that's a very big help for the utility personnel, and so on and so forth. After clarifying our roles, it's also important for us to look into our relationship and responsibility. So the question here is, why is relationship important in keeping responsibility? So we have our own responsibility here, but we also have to remember our relationship with other people. So a relationship requires team members to be dependent on each other. Well, some of you may be questioning this like, wow, why should I be dependent to other people? I should try to be independent. But you have to remember that you are still in a team. Whether you like it or not, you rely on each other. So the downfall of one can be the downfall of everybody, and the success of one can be the success of everybody also. Next one is to develop a level of trust for each other in order to be reliable for each other. See, the word reliable here is stressed because the level of trust is very important. You want to develop trust with each other that you have an easygoing task as you do your roles each day. You become reliable to each other. The third here is to identify who excel in technical expertise, who are keen in problem solving and decision making, and who are adept in active listening, giving good feedback, and conflict resolution. Sometimes in a team, all the members or most of the members would like to become the boss, would like to become the head. But there are really some people who are fit for the job. Remember, we have our own roles to play. And if we all become bosses in a team or become the leaders of the team, then who would be doing the other task? And there would be no more team. And of course, sharing these skills for the benefit of the team can build a solid work relationship among individuals. So if you know the skills of each other, then you try to share the skills for the benefit of the team. So it's like here is a task. This part will be done by this individual because he's good at this one. Although probably each one of you could also explore. But then you know very well that one individual is very good or is skilled in a certain task, and that task would be fit for that person. Next in here is the relationship with the team. So this time, after knowing your responsibility and building your relationship with others, then this time you have to hone your relationship with your team. Sometimes, when you are in a team or when you are in a company, whether you like it or not, you have to work harmoniously with all the other members. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all of them are your friends. So a very important word here for us to remember, for us to work in a team properly, is the word sacrifice. Individuals in a team generate a collaborative effort to achieve common goals and may need to give up individual autonomy in order to attain their goals. This is very much what the social contract theory is talking about by some of our philosophers. Okay, we have three philosophers in here, and they have a common understanding on what they call the social contract. But in the different versions of the social contract, what is so interesting here is the mutual transferring of right. You see, you belong to a society and you are willing to give up your rights to be be with to be in a good relationship with others and to maintain the equilibrium in the society. So that is what this social contract is talking about. So going back to what I've said a while back, sacrifice is very important. We have our own desires, we have our own um, likes, but then we are willing to give up all of this because we'd like to have a good community. We want to have a harmonious relationship with our society. So that is the social contract that this one is talking about. So that is sacrifice. The next one here is the commitment. So being a part of a team also entails commitment in the job and in the responsibility. What do you mean then when you say commitment? So organizational commitment may be viewed as an organizational member's psychological attachment to the organization. Yes, you belong to that organization or you belong to the team, but you have the desire of having the good for the team. Therefore, you have to do whatever it takes to bring out that's something good that you'd like to bring out in that organization or in that team. So that is organizational commitment. It comes with your desire or your good desire for that organization. So, organizational commitment plays a very large role in determining whether a member will stay with the organization and zealously work towards organizational goals. That's why remember when you are doing an interview or a job interview, one of the common questions that they will be asking or the interviewers will be asking is how long or how do you perceive yourself in this company? Because they'd like to get someone who will be putting commitment in the job and in the organization because it's not easy to let go of an employee and then get other employees. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of energy, it takes uh, resources. There. So, commitment to work or work commitment is defined as the level of enthusiasm an employee has towards his or her task assigned at a workplace. It is therefore the feeling of responsibility that a person has towards the goals or the vision of the organization that he or she is associated with. So we have here a saying from Abraham Lincoln in which he said, commitment is what transforms a promise into a reality. Therefore, when you say commitment, it is more than a promise. You have a promise, but it begins with a promise. So it is a promise, but then you do something with it for it to become a reality. Number four is be an effective member. So, how do we become an effective member? First is effective communication should be taken into consideration. Effective communication is you share suggestions, ideas, solutions, and proposals with each member. So take time to help your fellow teammates no matter the request. You can guarantee there will be a time in the future when you'll need some help or advice. And if you've helped them in the past, then they'll be more than willing to help you out as well. The second one is get involved. So it is one thing to rejoice in your successes with a group, but don't act like a superstar. Some people are like this, and that's sad. Doing this will make others regret your personal successes and may create tension within the group. So instead of them being happy with your success, you are able to create tension. You don't have to brag to let other people know about the good job that you have done. So have faith that people will recognize when you are being good. Okay? That is no bragging. So that's also another how. Number five here is group planning and decision making. This is somewhat interesting because most of decision making, yep, probably planning can be done by a group, but decision making is usually done by a certain one individual that would be the boss, probably. But in some instances, it's also very good to apply this group planning and decision making. So when we say group decision making, it's a type of a participatory process in which multiple individuals acting collectively analyze problems or situations and then they evaluate them, what would be the course of action, and select among those alternatives for solutions. Yeah. So it's like a brainstorming among the members, and then at the end, they would be able to pick the best option for a certain problem. So that is group making or group decision making. As I've said, there are many instances wherein it would only be the decision of one or a small group of people, but then there are also instances when this group decision making would be very appropriate. Now let's try to see what are the advantages and disadvantages of this. So the first one we have here accumulating more knowledge since you are taking the idea of all the members in the group. Therefore, there would be more knowledge and you'll be looking into broader perspective. But then And a disadvantage would be there is a slower time to get a decision, since you still need na time to go to all the members or to collate all the members' ideas before you'd be able to come up with your idea. Plus, sometimes if you'd like to involve the constituents, they would say, well, it's always the decision of the boss. I don't know, it's up to the boss. See? So sometimes the decision making here becomes very slow. So that's one disadvantage there. The philosophy behind this design is that it's good to put the most important function at the heart of the building. Well, what's our most important function? It's the interaction of our employees. See, the interaction of our employees. That's why, okay, so let me try to end this discussion or this lecture with a short story about Steve, Steve Jobs. So, Steve Jobs in 1986, after he was forced out of Apple, he bought a small computer manufacturer named Pixar. So he bought Pixar. In 2000, he relocated the company to an abandoned Del Monte canning factory. So abandoned. The original plan called for three buildings with separate offices for computer scientists, animators, and the Pixar executives. So, since there are three buildings, so that's the original plan, there would be three buildings with separate offices. For one would be for the computer scientists, the second one for the animators, and then the third one would be for the Pixar executives. And you see, wherever you go, most of the companies here in the Philippines or even abroad, they are located in such a, there is a division like this. Uh, if let's just say we have a big company, so they usually do it per level. So this is the level for the executives, this level is for the workers, this level is for the, those things. So there is a strata, there is division, okay? So, but in this case, in the design of Steve Jobs, he scrapped it. He immediately scrapped it. And instead of three buildings, there was going to be a single vast space with an atrium at the center. So the plan of Steve Jobs is it's just plain, it's just a plain vast space at the center. Okay, with an atrium at the center. So that's his plan. So most of the people are saying he was criticized because of this one. He was criticized like, what? What are you thinking about? You're supposed to be, creating something fabulous, fabulous buildings because this is Pixar. This is a great company. So, what I have in the screen here is the statement of Ed Catmull, the president of Pixar. This is from the statement of Steve Jobs himself. So, he said, the philosophy behind this design is that it's good to put the most important function at the heart of the building. And what is that? What is the most important function? It is the interaction of the employees. So that's why Steve put a big empty space there. He wanted to create an open area for people to always be talking to each other. And it worked for Pixar. So when sino ba tong mga to? When an animator would be going there and would be meeting a scientist, then they get a chance to communicate with each other. So kumusta yung trabaho mo? Yeah, what about you? How's your job? And so after with these conversations, they are able to come up with very good ideas. See? So at the end of this planning, they realized that there was the point, this Steve Jobs or this person had a very great idea about identifying the most important function of a team, which is the interaction of the people. That's why we're trying to talk about this one because the interaction of the people is really very important. Thank you so much for that. Okay.